When I say that AI is for everybody, I really mean that AI is for everybody, because all of us are going to be interacting and using these machines to both help us make decisions in the future, but also just in our everyday lives without even knowing it, right? Most of us have an AI in our pocket right now on our phone. This is part of UF's mission. I think it's also part of why many of us are here at UF, and I'm just really passionate about that mission, making sure that everyone can learn something about this technology that's useful for them. When I first started designing the course, I started out with a really simple goal in mind, which was that everyone can do it. And I remember I wrote that down on my wall in really big handwriting. Everyone can do this. This is for everybody. The idea for this course is that it should be a fairly gentle introduction into the world of AI. We have students that come from all different sorts of business backgrounds and all sorts of different business disciplines. And so we can't teach this incredibly complicated, math-heavy or coding-heavy course. So the course basically starts with 6 weeks of understanding the basics of the Python programming language, which we teach them, and it's just the basics, it's not very complicated. And then we spend the next several weeks exploring different machine learning and AI algorithms and how they're applied in business. I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give is just to try it and really think about ways that that you've never been able to interact with students before. So I'll give you a very practical example. In one of my courses, I teach a deep learning, which involves neural networks. And without going into too many details, there's all these different nodes. They're all connected by these different lines. And it's a pretty complicated diagram that I draw on the wall when I'm describing neural networks and how they work. For one of my courses, I asked my students to work with me in the classroom, using ChatGPT or another generative AI of their choosing, to create a person, or a persona from a neuron using ChatGPT. We use ChatGPT to say, hey, you're a neuron, what does your day look like? And we asked it to come back and be almost a personification of this artificial thing that we created. And it talked to us about all the different ways that it interacts with other neurons in the deep learning network, how it takes weights and biases from one input and puts those in the output. And it was a really interesting way for the students to learn using a chatbot that maybe they normally use to cheat, if you can say that, but to actually learn something in a totally different way, a way that wasn't available to us even 6 months or a year ago.